The men are up next to take on the Duel of 4 here as they close out their second day of competition at the 2024 Rogue Invitational inside P&J Live in beautiful Aberdeen, Scotland. Duel 4 presented by Strongest. I'm Sean Woodland alongside former affiliate cup winner Adrian Conway. Kiki Dixon has us covered down there on the competition floor. Overall standings coming into this event, Jeff Adler has yet to finish lower than 5th, and he won event 3. He has 460 total points. Rookie Gerard sits in 2nd place with 415 points, and Dallin Pepper sits in 3rd. Brent Fikowski's 50 points out of a spot on the podium. And Jason Hopper currently above his over-under line of 7th place. He's 2 points places clear of 7th. He's been here 3 prior times and finished 7th every single time. Moved up from 9th place in the last event. The Duel 4, you got to be perfect if you want to win this thing.
Man, you're so right about that. This event specifically leaves no room for error. It is over in the blink of an eye for sure. And what these athletes are going to be asked to do is 4-time 5 up and overs, that the hay bale, 50-foot sled push at 180 pounds, and 4 power stair steps at 300 pounds for the men.
What are the keys to this event?
You know, the keys are going to be the same as we initially listed. It's know your race. There's some new implementations, a different type of flow. They've got to understand where they're at and what they need to be doing next to anticipate it, and they've got to finish the pool on the power stairs. We saw on the women's side, this catches athletes up if you don't stand tall before you try to get that apparatus to the next level.
4 heats here in the opening round. Top 15 times moving on. Saxon Panchik, Jonakoski, Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson, Noah Olsen, and Georges Karavis to kick things off. Karavis coming in 20th place overall, but does have an 11th place finish. That's his best of the competition. Took that in event number 2.
Yeah, Karavis, one of those athletes who is a first-time qualifier here to Rogue, but had some soccer in his athletic background. And we've seen it pays to be able to move from point A to point B in this one. Let's see if it shines here.
First heat underway. 5 up and overs. And Noah Olsen's going to be off first, along with Jonakoski, Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson, and Saxon Panchik. Karavis bringing up the rear. Olsen on the sled push. Koski is slightly ahead of him. Koski's going to be the first man to make the turn, but Gudmundsson and Olsen are right behind him. 300 pounds now on the weight. Got to move it to the top of the steps. Noah Olsen looks like he's retaking the lead here. Olsen up first. He'll make the touch. Gudmundsson, then Koski. Saxon Panchik is in, and Georges Karavis.
Wow.
Noah Olsen putting on a late charge, 35.98 seconds to win his heat.
Noah got some of his bounce back after that Ironman, Sean. He came out, he was like, hey, I'm a little tired. Legs are a little heavy. I'm getting back into moving weights. Well, it didn't show there as he used the touch and go method on the up and overs that we've seen from Danielle Brandon on the women's side, and then Laura Horvath to win. That got him that slight edge going to the sled. And I'll tell you what, his legs looked nothing but fresh here as he stayed ahead of the pack just enough to earn himself the lead going into the power stairs. And he had no hesitation here moving from stair to stair. That gave him no problem.
Let's go indeed. Noah Olsen overtaking Jonakoski on the final part of that event to take the heat win. Looks to be one of the 15 men to move on to round 2. Noah Olsen, 19th place overall, but as you said, coming off that Ironman, and hasn't had a lot of time to prepare for this. 35.98 seconds for Olsen. The only man to go sub 36 on that. But Gudmundsson and Koski extremely close. And Saxon Panchik at 38.43 finishes in 4th. Heat number 2 up next. Apolainen, Medeiros, Crouch, Sprague, and Quant, the next 5 men out.
A loaded field here. I feel like every time these athletes take the floor, of course, being at the Rogue Invitational, it's all loaded. Jake Crouch, I'm watching closely.
Heinrich Happelainen, one of the tallest guys out there.
Jay with a background in Australian rules football, basketball, and motocross. He's got that right mix of hopefully some agility and that bent mindset to be reckless and go fast, but it's Happelainen. Like you said.
Sometimes it pays to be tall, and Heinrich Happelainen is going to be the first man done with the sled push. He's neck and neck with Jay Crouch, followed by Sprague and Quant. And then Medeiros is in 5th. Quant just ahead of Crouch. And I think it's Crouch who made the touch first, just ahead of Quant. Sprague, Quant, and then Medeiros. So Jay Crouch by 0.12 seconds.
It's that, I told you, man, he's got that athletic background, but then it's the motocross mindset. He like went just enough reckless abandon.
Heinrich Happelainen had that lead until the very end, but Jay Crouch hits the buzzer ahead of Happelainen to take the heat.
We talk about how important it was to finish the pool here. Happelainen does. He gets a little nudge on that top stair, though, and that was just enough for Jay to be able to sneak through and under that tap. It was smooth to start. Happelainen, Sean, wow, he's fast up and over. Look at that. He uses the rebound, and then, of course, with his length, he has to really travel a lesser distance over that thing, and these guys, none of them had a problem with the sled. It was pretty even, but I think Jay really did make up some ground here on that loaded push, and then for the most part it was a clean run, but Henrik standing almost a little too tall on that final stair allowed Jay to sneak in.
Yeah, Justin Medeiros fell off the pace on that 180-pound sled push. He's going to take 5th place in the heat at 36.07 seconds. But Jay Crouch with a blistering time of 33.88. Halfway through the opening round here, Jorge Fernandez, Guy Maieros, Pat Vellner, Brent Fikowski, and Sam Cournoyer.
Oh, Guy with a whiff here. He tried to go touch and go, but he didn't make contact with it.
His leg slipped off. Fikowski's first off, followed by Vellner and Maieros.
Oh, wow.
Jorge Fernandez at the bottom of your screen on the sled, and Sam Cournoyer at the top. Fikowski and Vellner at exactly the same time, but Maieros now in the lead, and Guy looking to make up for that mistake. Maieros now 1 step to go, and Guy followed by Vellner, and then Fikowski, Jorge Fernandez, and Sam Cournoyer. That was a fast heat. All these men looking like they have a really good chance of making it into the next round.
Yeah, that
Maieros at 33.79 to take it.
Man, that was wild, Sean. I mean, they all came out, touch and go over. It was Guy, and you know, we love Guy as a favorite anytime it's a power output-based workout, but he missed the box, was able to regather himself, stay focused, make up the ground that he did miss out on from that miss on getting his knee over those up and overs on that hay bale. And then, of course, it was here really that he was able to recapture that lead. Those powerful strides, all these guys really neck and neck there in the middle. Fikowski, Vellner, Malheiros. But it was Guy absolutely manhandling the power stairs. Edging out the dub. And what's unique here, he's gonna have an opportunity to reset, reload, understand what he did wrong there on those up and overs and clean it up. And everyone that advances will get a little faster, as we saw on the women's side as well.
The 4th and final heat of round number 1, and then the top 15 times will move on to round 2. We got Jason Hopper, Ricky Garrard, Jeff Adler, Dallin Pepper, and Chandler Smith out on the floor. Jason Hopper, as I mentioned, move up 4 spots to 5th place after winning event number 5. And Chandler Smith right now sits in 10th place overall with 280 points, but he's 5 points back of Crouch and Medeiros and Maieros for 7th. Underway. Look at Ricky Garrard in lane 2. Looking extremely smooth here, along with Adler in lane 3.
Adler too.
And Adler's off first. He thought he may have had another rep to go. He paused for a second.
That was one of those aspects of focusing on. You got to know your race.
Jason Hopper and Ricky Garrard are dead even, along with Adler. And here comes Dallin Pepper. So Garrard, first man to get his hands on the 300-pound weight. Keep an eye on Jason Hopper. It's Garrard and Adler at almost the same time, followed by Hopper, Pepper, and then Smith. 5/100ths of a second. That's the second time these guys have been separated by less than a second in an event. Think back to event number 1 where Garrard edged him out by 0.2 of a second, and now it gets even closer.
Wow, what's impressive here is how Adler was still able to recoup even after that hesitation. And I'm sure he's kind of disappointed in himself, but also he's really got room to improve that score because of that.
Keep an eye on Jeff Adler in the middle as he got off. He looked back to right there.
I almost think he and Ricky both assumed they had one more to go, which is unique for them. Typically, they're both good about knowing where they're at in a race and advancing forward. But that was one of the key focuses here. Of course, it was neck and neck between these two. I was really impressed with the way Adler executed on that first round. Wow, and Ricky just stabbing at the button instead of slapping on top of the button. The details matter.
I love the smile that he gave Adler.
Gotta love it.
Those two have had a really great battle so far over these past 2 days. And now we're going to figure out who the 15 men are who will move on to round 2. It's always a fun format, the duel at the Rogue Invitational.
Oh my goodness. This one may be my favorite version yet.
And it's always fun to watch these men take on new implements. The power stairs, something that the strong women use.
Yeah, and
event 5 for them.
And you know what changes this from what we watched with the women is that they're going over the same diameter and height of hay bale. And so the men typically being a little taller, bounding just a touch higher, they really have to be aggressive there. There's less room for them to figure it out. And if they get too far behind on that particular apparatus right there, you can't dig yourself out of that deficit. At least it doesn't seem to have presented itself in that way yet.
Smart people are going to do some math and figure out who the 15 athletes are. They're going to move on to round number 2. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll have the second round of the Duel 4 presented by Strongest here at the 2024 Rogue Invitational. We now know the 15 men who will be advancing into round number 2 here in the Duel 4, the 6th event of the 2024 Rogue Invitational, as we wrap up the second day of competition here in Aberdeen, Scotland. Let's go down to the floor. Joshy G with the names of the 15 men who are moving on.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your top 15 moving on to the quarterfinals. Guy Marieros, Ricky Gerard, Jeff Adler, Jay Crouch, Patrick Vellner, Henrik Hoppalainen, Jason Hopper, Brent Fikowski, James Sprague, Jorge Fernandez, and your final 5 qualifying spots are Dallin Pepper, Samuel Quantz, Noah Olson, Justin Medeiros, and BKG, Bjorgen Carl Gudmundsson.
Field is now set for round 2. 15 men, 3 heats of 5, and then we're going to cut down again to 10. Guy Marieros, despite that stumble, had the top time by 3/100ths of a second over Ricky Gerard, who edged out Jeff Adler by 5/100ths of a second. I mean, look how close it is 1 through 5.
What? Yeah, man. I mean, 1 through 10 is a second, so it's like
unbelievable.
I love it.
Yonakoski, the first man out at 36.82 seconds. Saxon Panchik, Chandler Smith, Georges Karavis, and Sam Cornwallier sitting this one out. Man, that is unbelievable how tight it is.
Yeah, we're in store for a really great show here into the second round. A lot like the women, what we can expect is that athletes will make adjustments. Some of them that came out maybe really high on the emotional scale, maybe made some errors early. Hopefully they can come out more composed and clean those up.
Medeiros, Quant, Pepper, Olson, and Gudmundsson to kick things off here in the first of 3 heats before we cut down to 10 athletes. Justin Medeiros coming in 8th place overall to this event. His best finish was 2nd place to close out night number 1. There is Dallin Pepper, who currently is hanging on to the 3rd spot on the podium. And of course, Bjorgen Carl Gudmundsson, one of the most consistent athletes out there. Right now, 16th place overall.
Yeah, and you can't really count him out ever, Sean. I mean, he's the most experienced guy out there. He's got that killer instinct where something like this, he might just pull something out of his back pocket that we haven't seen yet. As he's visualizing already, you can see him making the arm gestures for those up and overs.
Justin Medeiros right now in 8th place, but his last 3 finishes have all been 8th or better. Heat 1 of 3 underway. 5 up and overs to start.
Wow.
And everybody done it about the same time. Justin Medeiros and BKG, the first man on the sled, but BKG got hung up. His sled spiked into the ground. That delayed him. Now it's Quant and Pepper off first. Medeiros in 3rd, followed by Olson and Gudmundsson. Dallin Pepper making it to the top. Pepper makes a touch. Then Quant, Medeiros, Olson, then Bjorgen Carl Gudmundsson.
I'll be honest, it was like watching a different athlete take the field there for Dallin. Compared to his first run, there was so much more confidence and aggression there, and I don't know if that was a part of the initial game plan, but wow. Very different look from his everything, the way he took the floor, body language, all the way through his execution. Clean run.
Athletes go sub 34.
We talked about how the experience going through the first wave would change it for them. We noticed all the men basically executing some form of touch and go. So it was neck and neck here, but it's how you move the sled. BKG at the top of your screen. He got too high on those handles and it dug the far end of the sled into the ground. This can happen often. You got to grab it at the right spot and, of course, be able to put in the right forces that you want in order for it to go forward, not up. And it was Pepper that's going to edge out the field here.
And a good late charge from Justin Medeiros to get himself inside the top 3 in that heat. Dallin Pepper sub 33 along with Sam Kwan. Those two separated by a half second. Justin Medeiros at 33.79 seconds, looking to move into round number 3. And then Olsen and Bjorgvin Carl Gudmundsson. The second of 3 heats is ready to go. James Sprague, Jason Hopper, Heinrich Happelainen, Brent Fikowski, and Jorge Fernandez. So they're putting the 3 tallest guys right in the middle.
Wow.
Heinrich Happelainen is looking at his foot. James Sprague is going to be the first man to the sled, followed by Fikowski and Hopper. Sprague first man to the weight, followed closely by Fikowski and Hopper. Jorge Fernandez making a charge, and it's going to be Sprague, Fikowski, Hopper, and Fernandez.
31.64. Wow. Sprague focused and hungry. What a clean run, what a fast run. Able to use his length on those up and overs. I mean, it was obvious right out of the gate. He almost had a change in his leverage. On those up and overs, he was farther away from the rig, and it allowed him. Look at the attack on the sled there. Lower body posture, great horizontal pushing, nothing up and down, no movement unnecessary of the sled. And it was a clean run on the power stairs. It got him right to that button.
We hope Heinrich Happelainen was all right. He's getting helped off by the medical staff, but it's going to be heat number 3 up next. Got Jay Crouch, Ricky Garrard, Guy Maieros, Jeff Adler, and Pat Vellner. And we'll see if Maieros and Adler can clean things up here in round 2. The two of them had 2 minor mistakes that cost them just a little bit of time there in the prior round.
Yeah, and I mean, this field is absolutely stacked. We know that Ricky particularly has a background in field sports. All these guys have some type of athletic background before they got too deep into CrossFit. Ricky playing a lot of rugby, puts down a lot of miles under his feet. And we know he's a sprinter. We watched him come back from behind on Adler. It's all about how he can navigate these new implements, though, on the strongman side.
He's got 2 wins under his belt. Third and final heat, Guy Maieros launching himself up and over. And Guy's going to be the first man off ahead of Adler and Garrard.
Great job on the sled by Guy. Good, accurate hand placement.
Maieros is in. Adler and Crouch, followed by Garrard and Vellner. And Guy Maieros dusts the field, followed by Adler, Crouch, Garrard, and Vellner. It was close between Adler and Crouch. 3/100ths of a second. Guy Maieros, 30.40.
Fast time of 30 seconds.
That is absolutely bananas.
He loves this dual format.
Power and speed. Hey, listen, Guy's working on developing his aerobic capacity. Well, he can pretty much hold his breath for 30 seconds and execute at a high level on this event. So he gets to that sled. Look at his low hand placement, and we know what his legs have the capacity to do. He moves that sled almost like it's empty. And then once he gets to the power stairs, I think he's got it down, Sean, where he doesn't just lift it up. It's almost like he slams it down intentionally to get him to the next step even faster. And man, the fruits were very fast. 30-second time.
2 seconds faster than the top time we saw from the prior heats. So Guy Maieros just getting warmed up. He'll definitely be inside the top 10 going into the next round. Yeah, we know, Guy. We know. You're good at this. And now we wait. But Guy Maneros and Jeff Adler, along with Jake Crouch, 3 of the fastest times. Ricky Garrard also a really good time. And Pat Fellner, even though he finished 5th in that heat, this is the fastest heat that we've seen. So very likely all 5 of these men are going to move on. We're through round number 2. We're going to cut down to 10 athletes, and then we'll have 2 heats of 5. After that, 1 heat of 5, and then a final head-to-head matchup. Guy Maneros looks like he is just getting warmed up here.
Yeah, for athletes that make the cut, Sean, they can all feel that way, but they got to make it first, right? It's like you know you have the chance to get better and better with more clean runs, but you have to earn those reps because you got to have one of the top times in order to advance.
Scores are being tabulated. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll have the 10 athletes who are moving on to round 3. We are set for the next round. 10 men moving on. Pat Vellner, Ricky Garrard, Jason Hopper, Dallin Pepper, and Jorge Fernandez are 5 of them. For the other 5 in the complete rundown of the 10 men who have moved on down to Joshy G.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's no secret. We see our next heat of athletes out on the field. So let me introduce you to our qualifiers. Our top 5 are Guy Marieros, Jeff Adler, James Sprague, Jay Crouch, Brent Fikowski. And the athletes in this heat are Patrick Vellner, Ricky Garrard, Jason Hopper, Dallin Pepper, and Jorge Fernandez.
30 seconds.
Since we've had a couple of injuries on this part, we're going to change the standard. Maybe made an adjustment for athlete safety. Instead of the up and overs, it's now 5 burpee up and overs.
Got it.
On this part. The standard has changed here in round 3 for the men. Vellner, Garrard, Hopper, Pepper, and Fernandez, first of 2 heats. So 5 burpee up and overs.
Changes the approach here. Sean, they got to really be quick to the ground. An explosive burpee is going to pay off. Those athletes who can jump their feet to their hands versus the step up is going to be everything.
It's Pat Vellner off first. He's got a big lead over Ricky Garrard, Jason Hopper, and Jorge Fernandez. Dallin Pepper currently in 5th place in the heat. Vellner first done with the sled push, and he's going to be the first man to the 300-pound weight. And Jason Hopper starting to gain some ground on Vellner. Vellner makes the touch just ahead of Hopper. I think Fernandez got himself in there as well. And this one was close. Fernandez is going to finish 3rd, followed by Garrard and then Dallin Pepper.
I could not believe how much Hopper closed the gap there. I mean, Pat was out to a significant lead.
This is the 4th time we've done the duel. Jason Hopper won this format of the event, the version, the Duel 3 last year. So he loves this type of contest.
Hey, look, it's adaptability, right? Unknown and unknowable. It's all for the sake of the athletes, the quality of the competition, and look at the way these athletes adapt quickly. Pat, being the veteran that he is, he just sprawling over that hay bale and then making slight work of the sled. This is where the legs get heavy here, that turn and pivot from pushing that load, but it didn't slow him down enough. Hopper tried to get at his heels and try to edge him out, but it was Pat, first to the button.
The top 5 men are moving on, and by winning that heat, Pat Vellner giving himself a really good shot of being one of those 5. Second and final heat out on the field now. Jay Crouch, Jeff Adler, Guy Marieros, James Sprague, and Brent Fikowski. Let's see how adding the burpee in affects Guy Marieros, who also has a duel win under his belt. He won the first version of the duel back in 2021.
I don't see it slowing him down a lot, Sean. His upper body can be just as explosive as his lower, and it'll be about minimizing ground contact time.
He is one giant fast twitch muscle.
That's right.
Guy Marieros already out to a lead here. He's got one more up and over, and then he'll make the trip to the sled. There goes Guy Marieros. Look at the lead he's got over Sprague and Fikowski. Here come Crouch and Adler. Guy's going to be the first man done, and good luck catching him now. Fikowski's now in 2nd place, followed by Sprague. Crouch even with Sprague at the bottom of your screen. Guy is going to take the heat. Fikowski's going to finish 2nd. Crouch and Sprague were photo finish there, right there. Followed by Jeff Adler. Sprague just edging out Crouch by 0.02 of a second. That's a blink of an eye.
Man, I don't even know if it is. I'm blinking slower than that right now. Look, that was a tremendous run by Guy. Very impressive. We wondered, would the burpee slow him down? It did not. Almost exaggerated his ability to perform that movement even more now that the athletes have to travel a greater distance. But it was him being impressive rep after rep. Look at that. I don't even know if he needs to use his hands. He's following the rules.
Well, Guy Majeros, we know, will be in that final heat. We just got to find out who the 4 men are who are going to join him.
Yeah, no slowing down for Guy, and it was up and over again. He almost has to control not lifting up the weights too much on the power stairs and costing himself time just from the lag of separation. But man, what a run by Brent Fikowski as well. Coming up in a close second. Really great to increase his chances to advance. And you love the swag from Guy all the time. Crowd pleaser.
Guy Majeros so far has had the 2 fastest times in the last couple of rounds, and looks to be one of the 5 men moving into the semifinals. Once again, the smart people will do their things with the times, and we'll find out who the 5 men are when we return here to the Duel 4 at the Rogue Invitational. We are set to reveal the identities of the 5 men who will be moving on to the semifinals here at the Duel 4. Let's send it down to Joshy G.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here are your athletes advancing. Your top 5 athletes. In first place, Guy Marieros. In second place, Brent Fikowski. Third place, Patrick Vellner. Fourth place, James Sprague. And the last and final qualifying spot goes to Jay Crouch.
Let's look at the times from the prior round and just see how close it was. Crouch, Sprague, Vellner, Fikowski, Maieros moving on to that final round. Jason Hopper was on the wrong side of the cut line by 0.2 of a second. Only 1 second separated Crouch from 10th place Dallin Pepper.
Wow.
This is big for Brent Fikowski, as he is one of the men in this heat, as he's trying to make up points on Dallin Pepper for that third and final spot on the podium. Fikowski came into this event 50 points back of Pepper for third. Guy Marieros will be right in the middle of the floor. He has been hard to catch in this event.
Speed away from the ground is starting to prove as a very strong deciding point now that we've converted to burpees here.
5 burpee up and overs to start things off. Top 2 times move on to the finals.
10 seconds. Stand by.
Look how low Brent Fikowski is starting there. Looks to get an early jump on these burpees. Guy Marieros once again is out front early on, making the sprint to the sled. Vellner's right on his heels, followed by Brent Fikowski. Crouch and Sprague neck and neck for fourth. And now Brent Fikowski starting to gain some ground.
Wow.
On Guy Marieros, they're going to be dead even making the turn to the power stairs. 300 pounds has to move to the top. Guy Marieros looking to hold off Fikowski and Vellner. It's Marieros, Vellner, or pardon me, Fikowski, Vellner. I think Sprague may have edged out Crouch. Sprague edges out Vellner.
Wow.
Fikowski going to the finals.
1.2 seconds. That was the difference between first and fifth. Guy Marieros and Brent Fikowski. So Fikowski is going to get at least 95 points here. And he can really carve in to Dallin Pepper's 50-point lead for that third and final spot on the podium. But he put some pressure on Guy Marieros. Guy had to work there.
He did, man. He did. I was so impressed. I mean, Brent got to that sled, man, and immediately you saw a surge of energy, and I was like, where is that coming from, Brent? I mean, you don't look like a guy that should be on the way out of anything. Sign up for the next thing, too. Look at this start, Sean. You mentioned it. Brent Fikowski and Guy both had a lower starting position, and they needed it to edge out Pat Vellner, because look at how fast Vellner is at top of the screen, black t-shirt. He is so fast off the ground and over that thing on Guy's heels, but it was right here that we started to see Fikowski make his charge, going neck and neck with Guy, and then it was a race through the finish line here. Fractions of a second. Oh my goodness.
That's the first time Guy has looked winded after one of these. And he'll go head-to-head with Brent Fikowski for the event win. Guy Marieros trying to win the duel for the second time at the Rogue Invitational. We already had one repeat winner. Laura Horvath won for the women. She also won the duel in 2022.
Now Guy's got an opportunity to do the same thing here. He's got to seal the deal in the head-to-head.
And I guarantee you,
with the professor,
Brent Fikowski is back there plugging some numbers into a spreadsheet to figure out where he can maybe eke out some more time here and catch Guy Marieros.
If he's allowed, he's going to try to get maybe a little lower in the start position, right? A little lower. I mean, this is just a taste of what we're about to get into again as we watch it run back. I mean, the explosivity that is on display here with these athletes off the floor is phenomenal. Remember, that thing is 55 inches tall.
And that sled is 180 pounds, and
That's
Brent
right.
Fikowski just made it look like there was nothing on it.
This is where those legs start to feel a little heavy, but approaching that 300-pound power stair weight stack, I mean, these guys make such light work of this. It's all about accuracy at this point. They don't want to lift it too high and waste time. They keep it too low, they hit the stair. Man, Guy and Brent.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting on that is that Brent is doing that hop up the stairs. Guy is deciding to step.
Yeah. Yeah, naturally, like, you know, you assume jumping's faster, right? And I think for a lot of athletes, it does play out that way, but perhaps the urgency in the step and making it accurate allows you to start driving that thing high, or I'm sorry, off the next step just a little bit sooner.
Now, Guy Maieros is looking to pick up an event win. He started the competition in quicksand with a 20th place. That's dead last. Then got things on track with a second and a third. He has 2 straight 10th place finishes coming into this event. Sits in 7th place overall with 295 points. And Brent Fikowski, as I mentioned before, looking to overtake Dallin Pepper for 3rd place. Fikowski's been extremely consistent. Other than an 18th place finish on Friday night, he's at everything 6th or better.
Consistency at the top, that's what we know Brent for. He may snag an event here or there, but he's known best for his consistency. He's delivering right now.
He trails Pepper by 50 points, and he is going to carve a significant margin off that. I think Pepper's going to finish 10th in the event. So Fikowski at worst is going to pick up 95 points. And I think unofficially that's a 40-point difference between 2nd and 10th. Brent Fikowski, of course, announcing his retirement after this event. So he would love to go out on the podium.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, even as someone covering the sport, it's hard not to root for the guy, right? I mean, what a history in our space, an influence. We've watched him come from being so very close at the regional level all the way back to 2015 and then finally punching his ticket. And boy, when he stepped into the CrossFit space and actually made it to the CrossFit Games, boy, did he blow the doors down.
In 2016, he debuted at the CrossFit Games and won 4 events. It's the rookie record for event wins at the Games. Finished 4th that year, and then got himself on the podium for the first of 3 times in 2017 when he finished 2nd.
Giving both these athletes an adequate time to catch their breath a little, be able to replicate those same types of performances out here on the floor.
Where do you think Fikowski can make up some time here? I don't know how much faster the guy can get, especially on that sled.
Yeah, look, Sean, I was not being sarcastic when I said if they let him stand a little lower before the start, if there's no standard, hey guys, you got to stand this tall, your hip has to be open or whatever. Listen, when I'm going to put my hand on that stall mat behind me and I'm almost on a knee, right? Because the way that Guy navigates these first hay bales is really hard to match. But then, of course, we know where Brent's going to hopefully make up his ground, and that's going to be on that sled. What great come-out music.
Now, the music's been on point this weekend.
Oh, man. I'm waiting for Stone Cold to walk out of the back with 2 beers.
Guy Maieros versus Brent Fikowski for the event win. You know, given this theme, I wouldn't be surprised if he was, by God, that's Matt Fraser's music, and he comes out.
10 seconds.
Maieros versus Fikowski.
There they go. They're getting into that crouch position.
Brent was nearly falling over.
Listen, any advantage you can create. Wow.
Well, Fikowski's just got to keep it close here, given the work he did on that 180-pound sled, and it looks like he's closer than he was in the last round. Guy's going to be off just ahead of Brent. Let's see if Brent can still make up that ground on the 180-pound sled.
There he goes. And you never know what can happen on the stairs. Take nothing for granted.
Well, Guy manages to hold off Fikowski. Guy's going to be the first man to the power stairs. Fikowski's right behind him. 300 pounds to the top. And it's Guy Maieros. Second win in the duel. 100 points, first win of the competition for Guy. What a great moment between those two.
Oh, that's so cool, man. Just so fired up. So fired up to be out there head-to-head, top two. Man, what a performance by Guy, but you'd love to see it from Brent, too. So cool.
Brent Fikowski's going to lock up second place. His fifth finish of sixth or better, and get a lot closer to a spot on the podium. Guy Maieros, meanwhile, earns his first win of the competition and pockets 100 points in the process.
Oh my goodness, a duel is what we settled into watching. A duel is what we got on both sides, the men and the women were very impressive. It was Guy Maieros who continued to awe us with his explosive ability off the ground, continued to hold off Brent, although he made a strong charge here with this 180-pound sled. And then the icing on the cake is that 300 pounds for Guy, pulling it only 12 inches, that's nothing for that man. And he gives us a celebration every time, one to remember.
Third career event win for Guy Maieros, and both he and Brent Fikowski are with Kiki Dixon.
Guy, congratulations. This event seems like it was a bit of a journey, right? They released the event shortly before you have to execute it. There's new implements. There's a lot of eliminations happening. Why were you able to thrive?
I mean, I love events like this. The first time that I did it was in 2021, the duel, and I won, and it was amazing. So I knew that this kind of event was coming up, so I was getting ready for it. So yeah, I'm very athletic, so I like different stuff, different movements. I can do things fast. And I was just enjoying life, enjoying the crowd, and it was amazing.
You were so explosive throughout the event. Are you training that back home, or is that just something that's just natural?
It's just natural. I'm actually training for a marathon, so the last thing that I'm doing is sprinting, but I'm gifted by God, so I'm just doing whatever my body's capable of.
Well, it's doing quite well. Right behind you was Brent. Brent, apparently you have still got it, but I know... But I know this is your final event. What can you tell me about that decision to retire?
I'm just excited to take on new challenges. Been doing this for a while, and guys like Guy, they're too young, too fast, they're too strong. So give them a chance to have their fun, and you know, I'm just excited to try new things. Yeah.
You've been a staple at the Rogue Invitational. What's your favorite memory?
I don't know, that was up there. Right now, maybe, yeah, that was great. I'm gonna make better ones tomorrow, though.
Awesome, we look forward to seeing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Guy and Brent.
Well, that was a great way to close out day two of competition here at the 2024 Rogue Invitational. Guy Maieros and Brent Fikowski putting on a show for the fans. And Guy, for the second time in his career, wins the duel. Brent Fikowski is going to take second place and earn 95 points. Jay Crouch takes third, followed by Pat Vellner, his best finish of the competition. And then James Sprague rounded out the top five. 35.77 seconds, the winning time for Guy Maieros. Guy Maieros He's good at this stuff. Looking to put himself inside the top 5 heading into the final day. And we're going to have a good battle for the top spot for the men. Ricky Garrard continues to put the pressure on Jeff Adler. They've had a couple close finishes. And on the women's side, Laura Horvath, what a great day, too, for her. 2 event wins, but Tia Toomey still your overall leader. 3 events remain. We're not done. We're going to crown champions for the strong men and the strong women when we come back to the 2024 Rogue Invitational.